Hey gang, this is Fillmore, just letting you know that if you enjoy our podcast, quite frankly, a Howard Stern podcast, and you'd like to donate some money for the upkeep, or you want to request certain clips, please donate to our Patreon page at patreon.com/JimFix. That's JIMFIXX. You can donate as much as you want for as long as you want. There's absolutely no obligation.
Makes me feel like a... You know what, though? But none of that stuff impresses me. I'm not a big star-effer. I'm not really...
Stop it. Just stop.
I'm not into it.
Stop, please.
You think I'm a star-effer?
Why go?
Because I've gotten friendly with Kira. She lives in my neighborhood.
That's because you're a star-effer.
No, she invites me to a million things. Why is that a star-effer? She's a nice girl.
What were you doing this weekend?
I'm really into the internet now. I've developed a love of the internet. And I can't stand that this schlub, Phil Graham, is screaming that we have to censor the internet. It's repulsive to me. It's repugnant.
Listen, I'm very well versed on the new technologies. You know what a SIM card is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I see it in my phone when I take the
You're not
battery.
only going to see it in your phone, you're going to see it in your car very soon, a SIM card. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, it's called game changer.
I never read the social media comments about this show. I can't stand social media because I hate that people have power now. You know, in the old days, if you hated me, you'd have to write a letter to the station.
What do you think about Baba Booey? What do you think about Artie? Everyone likes Artie. Artie's super funny. They describe him as, a little bit crude, but funny, and they're likable. Baba Booey, everyone loves Baba Booey. I'm reading the research, and then it gets to me and they go, well, because Howard's so controversial, maybe this is the reason for the result. Like, 40% of the people kind of like me. The rest of them think I'm a fucking asshole.
Really?
Crude.
Everybody loves
disgusting.
Artie.
Oh, Artie, yeah. They love
But are
him.
you sure they really know who me and Baba Booey are?
I don't know. They like you.
And the other thought I had was that if the FCC does take us off the air, how would we reach these millions of people that listen to us? Will we just fade away? What if we have an announcement to make to them or we want to communicate with them? This would be a great contingency. So make it free, make it up there, and let the fans have fun. And I didn't have any moderators, nothing. I said, anyone can write what they want. Yeah, but, so now when you go on there, there's like thousands of posts of just like, and I don't even know who the people are. It's almost like people who hate the show more than people who like it. And it's like you get on there and it's like, Stern sucks. He's a homo. Robin's a pain in the ass. That's a horse face. Artie's a jack off. Kill Howard.
Oh, well, what am I going to do? Anyway, the birthday bash is there for you for free. And not because I couldn't sell it to a network. Yes, many networks did want it, but I thought this
But
would
who
be
would
nice.
even think that way?
I don't know, and the thoughts are so rapid.
Welcome, everybody, for the second part of our breakdown of the Summit video featuring myself, Jim Fix, a.k.a. Fillmore, a.k.a. Fillmore Fingers, etc., and, of course, my wonderful co-host, Sam.
Hey, guys. Ready? Feel motivated?
Yeah.
Inspiration?
Does this make you want to go out and tweet people to come into your house and visit you? We just want to read some comments from Facebook listeners. And this one's from Ken McKenna, who asked a couple questions. He said, great job, guys. I hope you turn it into a 4-part show. So much information to be gleaned. Have you ever thought about Marcy Turk and getting things done in terms of Don Buchwald retiring? Stern never did anything good on his own. Don was always there, but right around the getting things done time, I think Don announced his retirement. Maybe Howard was looking for help because Don was going away. And the truth is, yes, there's a very good chance that Marcy, he thought he would keep her, put her in the wings, but I don't think they're tied in. I think it was sort of in the back of his mind, because Robin was no longer in studio, and he lost the lawsuit, and I think he was psychically going like a little fucked up, Howard, at that time. So what about you, Sam? What do you think?
Well, I think we addressed that in the first part of how he was finally realizing that the winds and the climate of how people retain radio is completely different, and he's fallen behind. Before he realized it, he was already way behind.
Right.
You know, people were lapping him at that point, podcasting wise. So I think that Marcy seemed like a newer, fresher con artist, so to speak.
Oh,
And Don
right.
is this wise, trusted advisor when it comes to deal making. But I don't know if Howard necessarily trusted his instinct when it came to what to do next to make a show relevant again. And this woman probably spoke the language that Howard wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And made him feel like, ooh, I'm doing my homework assignment. Look at my giant science fair project of Post-its everywhere and whiteboards.
You get a sticker. The other thing was, guys, you got to keep in mind, middle of 2012, he announces, and we're going to play some of the audio. He's into getting things done, and he was referred to by by David Allen's people, or David Allen himself, knowing Stern's wealth. I'm sure it was David Allen himself who got on the phone with him and said, we'll send a fucking grifter over. Go ahead.
Just like he can't bother to look at his iPhone for the weather. He needs fucking Al Roker calling him, his own personal weather person.
It was all about emails, so we'll play some of it. But I think the Don Buchwald connection, as we said before, in the Reddit rumor thing, the serious problem, Don supposedly knew nothing about it. And if you're in with your agent 100%, Don should and would have known about Marcy, unless it had nothing to do with him retiring. It was just something that completely separate, that Howard decided, fuck it, I'm keeping this for myself. This is something new. And I find it so hard to believe that Don wouldn't have known about it, except if Howard didn't trust him. And one of the things in that Reddit post was the Howard TV deal. When that was going, or when that went, supposedly there was a clause in the contract that if nobody picked up Howard TV, Sirius would retain the rights to all the videos. And supposedly Don missed that in contract, and when no one picked it up, they lost the rights to the old video stuff, which I don't know is true because he's using it now in an edited form. Sam?
Well, I have a hard time thinking that he wouldn't know about it, but if he did, I feel like Don is smart enough to sniff out that sort of grifting cult-like mentality. Because I mean, Robbins went through so many, and he could spot. I mean, I could imagine him spotting this, and he always had good instincts when it came to making deals. Now, I was listening to, I believe it was Opie's podcast last week, and he was talking about how his agent was absolute shit for instincts, and they could have had Bill Burr on the channel. They could have had Joe Rogan, everything. And his agent was like, he wants this, or creative rights, or no, screw this. What do they know? So
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think that he had to have known, but maybe it was too late. She already had her hooks in.
I think possibly Don was a little more hands-off, maybe a little too hands-off near the end, and he got a little soft and slow. Because if you think about Elvis and Colonel Tom Parker, which is an amazing analogy if you think about it, Don Buchwald was responsible for Howard getting on video, first of all. In Playboy, he did an interview in '94 and said, they asked him, would you ever, just record your show on video and put it on TV? And he goes, no, I don't think so. I think, the intimacy of the studio is not the same when you film it, and different on radio. Don was the one who insisted on it. And since then, it was the only way he was remotely comfortable. And he made shitloads of more money off of it. So Don was the brains behind that. If you left it up to Howard, he'd still be fucking bending over TV hosts in Syracuse and kissing fucking, what's his name? It was kissing like male hosts on daytime, like cable talk shows. So Don's the real brains of the operation.
Funeral concerts.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Turk thing is, we're going to listen to some of it now. So you guys decide for yourselves. This one is Howard Learns Getting Things Done.
I had like the best time. I'm into this book, Getting Things Done. And so now I am operating I have zero email in my
You
email.
still have zero email in your
Zero email in my inbox. Who wants to
He's
applaud
so
that?
proud of that.
I'm so proud. You know, I had over 2,000 email in my inbox, and now I have zero.
Now, I must have like 10,000. I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. It's
I'm
almost
the opposite.
spam.
Like I look at my email every day
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly like confirmation for Amazon orders or conversations with her teachers or
Mm-hmm.
or work stuff. I really don't see the big deal in deleting emails though. Like you read it, you delete it.
Yeah.
Or you switch it to a different folder. Why is this an accomplishment unless I mean, I don't know. Unless you have a sweet potato for a brain, I'm not sure what the fuck is going on with this accomplishment.
I think this is like he learned how to potty.
And like I have them in different folders, things I need to do, and I'm so getting through all my tasks.
Are you going to these different folders and now addressing these emails?
Yes, I am. Every 2 and 3 times a day.
Isn't this really the equivalent of him showing his parents, look, I took my first shit, you know?
I wiped.
Anyway, he's going to go into it a little bit. He's going to explain. This is where he sort of breaks that little pretense. He says about the woman, but he doesn't mention Marcy's
Clearing
name.
up my business. I'm on a mad ass
How
tear.
many email in the folders?
Well, there were a lot, but now I'm almost down to none because I'm taking care of.
You're just moving right through it.
It teaches you how to get. Well, I sat up with a woman from getting things done, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening for him to understand how to fucking empty email box. Just imagine, guys. No one comes over for a 7-hour tutorial on email distribution unless they're coming over to me. It lends more credence to the idea that she was over every day, constantly indoctrinating him.
Okay. A 9 to 5 job. I think about all I do in a day at work. This idiot can't even figure out how to function emails. In 2000, by the way, would take maybe 10 minutes to get rid of. It's not even difficult.
Yeah, no, you just batch delete and, just itemize. You just search for a keyword like Amazon and then mass delete.
So he learned how to flush. Good job.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I studied with her. And I got my email down to zero, and she's terrific, and she put me into a whole new frame of mind with the way I work. I don't know
this time I didn't plug the bowl. I used just enough.
A difference in you.
It is the greatest feeling ever to be disorganized. I feel incredible. I feel very organized. You jealous, John?
No.
How many emails do you have?
You made us laugh. You made us laugh.
I sunk that floater. You proud of me?
The spanner didn't make it all the way across.
In your email.
Well, probably 2 or 3 unread from this morning. I always go through it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And where do you put them? Let's say you have a task that you have to conduct later. Where do you?
It's not like he's talking about having to move boxes from a move, and like you just where do I put the oven? Where do I put the It's fucking emails, guys. This is the level of intelligence you're dealing with. Go ahead, Sam.
Where did you put them? Like it's Anne Frank's diary that you had to hide behind the wall or something.
They're looking for the lost Ark of the Covenant.
You're not Hillary Clinton. Nobody's looking for your emails. Chill out.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it.
I either keep it as an unread message, which reminds me to get back to it, something I have to do that day.
Wrong, but go ahead.
Or I've got folders that I put it in depending on what it is.
Folders. Like phone calls and this kind of thing, computer, what you can do with your computer, what you can do. What are your categories of the folder?
More related.
That's all about like email dick measuring. I got 17 folders.
No,
each one. I got the Tan Mom folder.
I have 30 clips of Jeff the Drunk alone in this folder.
Howard, you beat me.
into the subject matter. Like,
No, that's not the way we do it.
That's the wrong way to do it.
That's the wrong way. You're doing a horrible
How did you
job.
learn how to do it? You put phone calls in one.
Phone calls, computer items that I can do at the computer.
What about if you have an email, you need to return it, but you don't have time to write the email right then, or you need to...
That goes into my actions folder. It means I have an action, and if it needs more than one action, it becomes a project. If it becomes a project, I outline what I need to do, and I do one thing at a time.
Ooh.
So that sounds like the way it just came out of his mouth was like something you were fed psychically, like while you were sleeping, subliminally by some cult. And that sounds exactly like a cult would be. It's cult speak because it comes out so fast. He's never that good with words. Go ahead.
And it has a cadence to it, kind of like
Right.
Our Father
Mantra.
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this
Yeah.
day our daily
Yeah.
bread. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting here, and the way he said that
Like a mantra.
reminds me of yes. And how do I know that? Because a cult called religion. You know, all cults are like this, or all not. I'm not anti-religion, by the way. My kid goes to a Catholic school, but
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sanctus. That's all right.
Come on.
Rocky.
With me now. Come on, let's go. Benji, how many email do you have in your email?
I'm horrible. I have 100 different email accounts.
You want to
Most
go?
people have this.
It's like a b-boy battle. Instead of breakdancing, it's just email comparisons.
Huge bull.
Go ahead.
I just picture
What?
like like voguing, how they did the pose, like the ballroom community. It's like, what are you looking at?
Anybody? Sam just reminded me.
Oh.
Sam just reminded me, and I'm going to give you guys a little documentary recommendation. Jacob might like this one, actually. It's about drag queens voguing in New York. It's called Paris is Burning. And it's just about drag queens like on the runway competition. I saw it when I was...
love that documentary.
What, Paris is Burning? Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny as shit. Anyway, that's Howard with his emails. Look at me. Strike a pose.
Blob of material sitting, and Robin, I know, has over 2,000 email in her
Always.
email
I
account.
can never get it below that.
And
Shade, honey, shade.
anything done.
Yeah.
Do you ever save something because it's like sentimental email or something?
I have a folder for that.
The sentimental folder. Most of the unread stuff is like daughters' requests for, like parental consent forms, and back in the day, like, Dad, I'm going on this field trip, and can I get your okay?
Sentimental folder. It's a picture of Bianca drowning in the pool.
I was gonna say, like, there's one from Emily about, Dad, can I go to the Jingle Ball? What's a jingle?
There's one. It's Beth doing snow angels in Bianca's ashes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I played a decent amount of that. I also wanted to read some of the questions that we didn't answer. We didn't read from Richie that he provided for us so graciously. So number 7, I believe, is the one we didn't. We stopped on number 6. Number 7. How long after the meeting did people wait to start goofing on all the PowerPoint misspellings and complete delusions of King Baby, at least in private? Richie responded immediately, as soon as we finished picking our jaws off the floor after seeing the fake tweet message. And if I'm not mistaken, Sam, wasn't that the initial clip that Stuttering John found or released? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a picture, and then it was the clip.
Yeah.
And I remember it. What a good, by the way, this whole saga, even now in hindsight, what a juicy friggin' build.
Well, it was, but also like just the idea, like the amount of levels of cringe from both the awful PowerPoint presentation, just in general, like his whole like delivery. Then there's the everything, like the lighting, the look, the situation of he did it himself clearly, and the delusion, and then also the anger, like this displaced anger that the more he's speaking, now he's getting angry. Was why aren't I the king of the world?
It took, I think, a total of 8 minutes because that's how the first part started, and that's all we got to. For him to go for, I want to tell you this message, and I want to get this messaging out here, and I want everyone to be excited. And why aren't we doing this?
It was almost like Goodfellas. Well, you think I'm funny? All of a sudden, it goes from like we're gonna be all right, sort of like we don't know, this will be kind of serious, and then it's like anger. So, would you like to read number 8, please, Sam?
Yes. According to the Reddit mole, a serious problem. Somebody complained about Marcy giving somebody she was stupping preferential treatment. I'm assuming it was Brandano, although I'm told she worked her way through the bees to Ben Bardo. Pity Beetlejuice never got any action. Any idea if this was true? And Richie said, from what I have heard, no firsthand knowledge, that she was called into HR because of it. I hear she gave preferential treatment at raise time to people she was or did sleep with and was reported to HR. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but could you imagine like HR is just probably going through the numbers saying like she knows she's protected from on high by the Prince of Fruitiness. So all she has to do is go in there, do the meeting, and that's like any other company you'd actually get in major shit.
I was just going to say, this is actually not nothing.
No. So for her to keep her job after this is really amazing, but it just shows you the pull at that point. Number 9, Howard tells everybody not to use their phones. Was this an edict so that nobody would film it privately, or just an ego trip to make sure all eyes were on him? Richie explained, again, no firsthand knowledge, but I believe both. Number 10, please, Sam.
He mentions for DePace and ostensibly all you guys to bring your tellies, that's in quotes, which we know are bullshit awards you pay to receive. Did those ever come in to be on display? ? Sorry, it's a little blurry on my end. Mm-hmm. Nope. Whoever produced the show that won the telly took home their trophy.
Which, by the way, because at some point during the presentation, he says nobody knows that you paid for them. So just bring them in to show your success. Can you imagine going to the Oscars and just having a bag of money and going, look, can I have the best supporting actor one? I'd like that one. You know,
it's really,
it's brutal. I have a clip. I could play it, but it does explain. They do explain. And if you go to the website, the tellies are video awards for TV production that you pay for. You have to pay money to receive them. So that's not any kind of award that's a participation award. Number 11. He mentions some snide comment made by Scott Greenstein about why Sirius wouldn't bother having musical guest X to sit in on his show, but wasn't this pretty much Greenstein admitting that Howard wasn't big enough to get that guest? And Richie explains, interesting. Could be the reason. We know he doesn't move the needle as far as movie or music sales go anymore. Number 12, please, Sam.
He explains about core teams, such as the news department and HTV, Howard TV, etc., having meetings to discuss how to make the show bigger. Did these ever happen?
Mm-hmm.
Richie says the TV crew had weekly meetings for upcoming segments and ways to improve production. However, our hands were tied with the new direction of the show and budget.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, though, doesn't this say if he's getting all the money for the budget and it has the power to how it's being doled out, well, he could have easily kept Howard TV or these back office shows or all the channels and all the shows that we ended up liking a lot that I'm sad are gone.
Well, yeah, and I think ultimately, and it was a minuscule amount these people were making for these shows, if anything. I don't believe Will and Jason got paid fuck all for doing back office radio. I think it was just a free bit of content and say, here, guys, here's your chance to make programming. Because we have admissions from other people who've been on the show. Florentine, audio from, what's his name, Levy, DePaulo, when they all had shows, they were offering him like $40 a show, literally $40 per show.
No, I know. I talked with him about that for Miserable Men.
Yeah. And so they were giving nothing. They weren't even getting gas money. And some of them had to drive like a fucking, $100K to get there in order to do this shit. Like at least like, I don't know, an hour Sorry, using the metric system. That I shouldn't do that. But they were not getting paid anything. So the amount it would have taken for him to keep Howard TV on the air was nothing. Like maybe $1 million or less than $1 million to pay all those guys. And then Sirius pays for whatever production costs. Who knows? Anyway, so the last question, number 12. If so, in other words, did the meetings ever happen? This is 12A and 12B. If so, how much laughing did you do in all these meetings? And Richie said, we still do laugh. We'll send text to each other if there's any breaking news. So it's all a matter of, it's all a matter of perspective. But everybody knew going into that meeting and coming out of the meeting that it was a joke. It was, if they didn't know going in, they certainly knew coming out. Sam?
Yeah, it's amazing just how much has changed since this entire summit.
Mm-hmm.
You just watch it.
Yeah. There's a few other things. On the 16th of January 2013, there was a thing on the wrap-up show where Gary, basically Jason reported on somebody having a fight. I think it was DePace and Scott Goodstein. I think, yeah, Scott Goodstein. Doug Goodstein, sorry, and Scott DePace, my mistake. Or that Gary was having an issue. I can't remember, but it says, this is the quote from Mark Friggin. Gary said that Howard says he's the executive producer and he wants him to run the office like an office is run, but no office in the world runs like their office. Bowie's an idiot, but he's right about that. He's absolutely right.
And I remember a specific back office radio where Jason was, this is shortly after this happened, and Jason was wearing a blazer, and Howard called Gary out for looking like a schlub and dressed more like Jason. And everyone was kind of ragging on Jason for getting the brownie points. And now I remember hearing that live. And then now when I'm watching this summit video, I'm like, oh my God, this all makes sense now because they got the edict that you guys look like scary college kids. Woo.
Yeah. No, so this is I'll continue it. He said, Gary said that he tells him to scare his staff to respect him, but he can't when stuff like this is going on. Basically, Gary being undermined. Gary said Stuttering John was like this, and he could never threaten to fire him because he just couldn't do it. He said he can't do that with Jason either. In other words, Gary admitting, and I wish I had the audio, but Gary admitting he has no say, and he's your producer. The producers of The Tonight Show had the power to get rid of people. Johnny had the ultimate power, Johnny Carson, but they also had major, major power. So Jason, down at the bottom, it says, okay, so further down, Jason said that Gary knows he respects him. He said that he doesn't see this as a lack of respect. Gary said it's pretty tense in the office lately, and that's kind of pushing things. Dun, dun, dun. And the last little paragraph, can you read that, Sam, the highlighted part?
Yeah. Jason said he has had this conversation with Gary before. He said it's hard to have respect when Gary is only there for 3 days a week. Gary said that's not a discussion for the air. They went to break a short time later.
And what you're going to hear later, guys, we're going to play a clip from Back Office Radio when we get through this, and they're going to explain a little bit more about this. But either way, if you're ready, Sam, you want to go into the continuing the meeting?
Yeah, let's get to this amazing TED Talk. I'm feeling motivated. We're going to be millionaires, change our lives around. 100,000aires, here we come.
Okay.
People are forgetting that this is the best fucking medium for any guest to be booked on. Whether they're in the field of books, whether they're in music. Look at what we do for guests. We have a news department that actually promotes them after they're in. We play their shows over multiple times.
Okay, let's get a couple things straight. He never had and continues never to have authors on. He never has authors on the air. Even music guys who have a book. Tommy Mottola was in January because he was releasing a book, but he hadn't been the head of Sony Records since 2003. He'd left. So he was already a has-been kind of by then. He bought, I believe, Casablanca Records. He brought them out of, because they were owned by Polygram, I think. So it was a subsidiary of Polygram. He brought them back and started to use them for dance music and whatnot. But otherwise, Tommy Mottola was nobody, really, and a has-been, let's say, not a nobody.
He had a book out.
Yes, Hitmaker, I believe it was called. And yeah, he was big, huge at one point, but that would be an exception. Most authors don't go on the show. The news department reports internally. It's not like they have their own newspaper that gets distributed across the nation.
And he fuck well knows he's getting rid of them.
Yeah. If he doesn't know,
He's got an idea.
Yeah, in his mind, absolutely. Let's continue.
Who is doing this? But who is communicating this to Publicist?
Okay, go ahead.
I have to say, just starting this again, I feel like I walked into class late and I'm being screamed at. It's so horrendous. Like, how is this helping anyone, by the way?
Yeah.
If I'm a publicist, I'm not sitting and thinking about the Howard Stern show. I'm thinking about some other fucking show that I see on TV. I'm not in the world of satellite. I don't have satellite in my car. I'm not thinking about satellite.
Wait a minute. Okay. So first it was, we have something no one has. We have 23 million subscribers. This is how this started off, guys. Yeah. We have something everyone wants, but now it's nobody knows who the fuck we are.
Right. So in your opinion, Sam, in your opinion, Sam, okay, that's two trains of thought from him, but one of them has to be predominant. Which one do you think he really believes? The truth?
Oh, the latter.
The latter, right? He has to know, like, this is just, like, I would like for Bob D to explain, if he can, in the future, why this manifested itself in this way. If his sense of self is so hurt by the reality, and he makes the false self to cover the reality that he has no reach, why burst it in front of all these people? Unless it's not public, so no one's going to hear this, just the staff.
That, and he can't maintain the false self. Just kind of like take it to a smaller scale. When they did that ratings thing and they found out Artie was more popular, see, at first, it bothered him, but that ate away at him in a way. He constantly found ways to put Artie down more. He was more vicious with him. He was less friendly with him. And he didn't highlight his talent as much as he highlighted his fucked upness. Now, Artie, of course, is responsible for a lot of that fucked upness, but you could see that worm in his ear changed the dynamic of their relationship forever, just by that little thing. So I think he knows when he's going into this, 23 million subscribers bullshit. I think he knows that.
Yeah, and also, let's give a quick shout out to Doug Goodstein, who with Gary decided to send out this thing, which was going to be a big, it ended up being something like 800 subscribers they sent it out to, and they deliberately said they paid money, supposedly a lot of money for that questionnaire to go out and the census, and I mean that spoke volumes. Really, I was fascinated they allowed that to be on the air.
Well, it's also, if you're polling and that's the numbers you're polling, that's a big difference.
That's your height. Like, that's the height of Sirius, like 2007 maybe. And then they would have things like the intern contest, and Howard would always come in last as well. So it just constantly, there was always the hits kept on coming.
We better start fucking telling Publicists and everyone else who we are. All of us, this is all of our job. The theme of today's meeting is, this is everyone who's sitting here job. Not just mine. Because you know what? If this show isn't here in 3 years, you don't have a fucking job.
Now listen to that. Who's that going to fucking motivate? Who on God's green earth do you think this is going to motivate? If this job isn't here in 3 years, you don't have a fucking job. Well, most of the people in that room didn't have a job after less than a year. Because by the end of 2013, most of those people are gone.
Okay. And also, this info needs to get out. And like we said, so we're going to make this presentation to you guys with a graphic from, I don't know, 96.
Yeah, AOL. From those free CD-ROMs that used to come in the mail.
He looks crazed right now.
Yes.
So this started off as, I'm going to motivate them. I'm going to try to tell them what I want. Right. Even though nobody's allowed to ask me. I'm going to pretend someone did. And this is why I'm doing this. No one asked him. And now he's screaming at them with no sense of direction. Like,
No, not at
this
all.
is
It's just
all of our
rage.
job. What do you mean? What do
Yeah.
you mean?
It's all emotion. It's just pure emotion now. So
We should be blasting it on Twitter.
We should? I thought you said Twitter is bullshit.
no, he said Facebook was bullshit. Let's get our social media fuck ups correct. This is first of all him talking about we need to get this out on Twitter. Now all of a sudden he's going to use social media after he's already failed at it miserably. I mean, they had in the intro, I played a clip of from 2004 when they shut down their own chat room because they had no moderators. He said all they had was hate speech to say. What does that tell you?
My wife's a horse, horse face.
I love that intro.
Had a guy come in who had something called the ugly out. The dumbest, stupidest idea on the planet. He walked out of our show, all right, maybe not a millionaire, but 100,000aire.
And I think it was explained later, like this not first of all, it wasn't because of their show once again that he sold so many. It wasn't expressly because of this appearance on their show. Did it bring him some notoriety? Sure, but there's no way they could know. There's no way to measure that metric. There just isn't.
He just lied on a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
If that isn't the greatest success story in the history of radio.
Check out this fucking Vincent Price wannabe. Ugly guy up, a millionaire after our show. And he's already contradicted his own fucking PowerPoint just now. Maybe
right. That took 5 seconds.
Not dollars. So, maybe pesos. It's really like it's exactly like one of those little talk downs where you go like, okay, guys, listen, I had a really hot date last night. All right, it wasn't a hot date. It was, just meeting someone. Well, actually, I just stayed home. Well, I jerked off. You know what? I didn't even jerk off. I had no energy for it. I just went to sleep. You know what? I didn't sleep. I stayed up all night. I couldn't sleep. Like walking back.
I don't know what is. And who the fuck knows about it? Well, the people in this room. Does Madonna's publicist know about it?
Madonna's a multi-fucking millionaire. What does she need to go on? She doesn't have a fucking a Vogue app that she needs to plug on your goddamn show. This is a nobody on your show versus a like an international megastar. Even at that point, Madonna was still pretty big. Sorry, guys.
I can't even believe he's juxtaposing the fact some guy made 100,000aire on his show compared to why isn't Madonna on my show? Does she know about this?
Right, but also just the fact that conflating this guy's success with your show and attributing your show to being directly responsible for that guy's supposed success. But no, that wasn't just your show, buddy.
Probably not. From now on, we share all of our success with the world. We're going to get the word out in 2013.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Okay. They have been doing radio for so fucking long. To me, this amateur hour of publicists, I thought publicists would know you're there and they call you because you're the stop that they want to make, like the Today Show or Jimmy Kimmel or whatever the fuck they're promoting. But guess what hurts your chances of promotion? You're only in studio 6 a.m. till 10 or 10:30, 3 fucking days a week. In the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
So
what singer wants to get up in there fucking 8 a.m. and start singing?
With no breakfast and no water.
No breakfast, no water, maybe no accompaniment. Maybe they have to play just guitar because there's still no setup there for a band. Well, now there finally was. Eventually there was, but it was a really small studio. So
yeah, and look at what Harry Styles had to do. His band had to sit there on uncomfortable stools listening to this queen drool all over him about, you must have, how aren't you sticking your dick in everything? I admire that.
Hold on for a moment. 51. So on the the video, guys, you see, of course, the slide. Billy Corgan's album went to top 10. He was off the radar until us. Amazing results. Just because you put amazing results on a screen doesn't necessarily make it so. So I brought it up just to make sure everybody has the idea. This is a chart position for the Smashing Pumpkins. Now, this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is from one moment. It's one of the Billboard type charts, and it gives a pretty good estimation of where things were. And Siamese Dream was the first charted album that got to number 4 in '93. Okay, like this is their first album. Gish didn't chart. Fine, you keep going. When you get closer to the date of this, the Greatest Hits album, 28. I believe this might have even been in the British charts. Zeitgeist, 2007, number 4 on the top 10. Oceania, the June 30th, 2012 release, 19. So that they're already, like, their stars fading way, way down. And then by the time 2014 rolls around, their next album's 59 in the charts, and this Shiny and Oh So Bright in 2018 is 43. So they're already done. And anything he would have done by that point that's just it. He didn't move any needle. Sorry, guys. Let's go right here.
And it's not like people, by the way, forgot who Billy... He makes it seem in this slide that people forgot who they are. No, everyone knows who they are, no matter what, even if they go away for a long time.
Yeah, I could go one by one and just go through all of the albums on the U.S. charts, but just the idea that he believed they were... got this amazing boost by being on the show. You should never in a PowerPoint show a metric that can be easily disproven, especially by your staff, who are going to show you up for being a no-mind. They're going to show you, Howard, you're full of shit. What in God's name are you on about?
Also, too, he just got done saying that nobody knows what Sirius is. Mm-hmm. It's not on their radar. We have to make people know. We have to blast this out. So if he was, which is it? Is he changing the culture and changing people's careers and trajectory to number 1? Or is he somebody people are forgetting about and we have to bang on the doors of Publicist to remind them? Which is it?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways, shithead.
Billy Corgan's album went into the top 10.
Go ahead.
Whoa, go back a little bit, because he totally had a Peter Brady.
Did you hear the sort of his voice change there a little bit? Like like he broke.
Time to change, time to be.
Okay, sorry guys, it's hard to get the time exactly, but we'll both.
2013. Billy Corgan's album went into the top
Billy.
10. He was off the radar until us. You know this. This is fact.
Woohoo!
Billy Corgan was off the radar. He came on our show, and he sold albums. How does every record company in the world not know about this?
Well, this is kind of the point, Howard. If he did that, they would know and they should know. You've answered your own question.
Look at that face of his. Huh? Riddle me this, motherfuckers.
Is this
why?
Is this a face that inspires confidence? Look at the stance.
Oh my God. He looks like something, that gets left behind in a haunted house. You gotta just... I think I might just Photoshop this and put put him in a snow globe. Yeah. I mean, he looks like he belongs in Haunted Mansion in Disney World, like the ride.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we're not telling them. We're not doing our jobs.
Oh, God. Here comes the obsession.
On her show, Oprah. Because they think she sells books.
She does. She has a book club, Howard. And I have news for you. I worked in a library system for about 10 years before I moved to Asia. And I can tell you that all the fucking altercockers who used to be on the list for her fucking latest book club book didn't know what it was. They just knew it was a goddamn Oprah book in her club, and they decided they were going to read it. They didn't always like them, but they did read them. That's the point. they did, and then you just imagine how many people bought those fucking books sight unseen because they had her label on it. Sam?
I was a page too when I was like really young at a library, and we always had an Oprah book club display at our library. Always. And all these moms would be, everybody wanted these dumb books with the thing, and I never got it because to me that was like a Danielle Steele and shit. I just didn't care.
Right, and it's
I mean they're different genres, but I'm saying they were so well known, but people just could not wait to get their hands on what Oprah was doing. We always had a display in the library for that.
Yep. Yeah, and she had a magazine at that point as well, and she still had a show on, and very successful. Okay, so we'll go through this one. People beg to get on her show. Yeah, they do. People would love to get on a show. She made a star out of Dr. Phil. He got his own show as a result of being on Oprah. Yes.
He was even saying just, I think it was this year, Oprah was doing these interviews and selling out stadiums, and he was mocking it, and he was saying, look I never rob my fans like this. I never rob my fans. What is she going to do in a stadium? What are you paying for? What is this? Like, people, that's the point, Howard. She can do one interview and sell out a stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what can you do? And just remember the idea that they were going to have the Howard Stern con, and they were going to have whackbackers show up. Imagine in 2006, maybe you could have got away with that. But in 2013, you'd see that video, that image of him outside Letterman with all the 7, 8, 10, 12 people in line, and that's it.
I think Dennis DeMarco with all his swag could have a convention.
He might.
I love it.
He just found one when it was a DeBella poster. Actually, it was pretty amazing that he found tucked away in his house.
It was Forever Howie Never Bald, or Forever Howard Never Baldy.
Howard Forever Baldy Never.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. When he was fighting the zookeeper in Philly. He says, and we get the same results for people, only we don't have a book club to track it. Book club. Not book club, guys, but something you hit people with a book. We get the same results for people. No, you don't.
Don't read, Howard.
Yeah.
What book club are you going to be having?
Itsy Bitsy. So when we track how until now, until now is a point, by the way. Did you notice that? It's a separate point. Until now, when we track how successful success. There's an S missing. Celebs are. We will give her a run for her money.
No
when is that going to happen? No, there isn't.
So, wait. Let me read this slowly so I can process just how genius this is. When we track how successful celebs are, we will give her a run for her money. So you're now tracking other celebs? What is this like?
You're tracking the success of other celebrities, or did you want to write down, Howard, for future reference? We'll give you some notes for you to, when you go to the writing center and check this out, when you get it proofread. When we track how successful celebs are after appearances on our show and determine that it works, then we will give her a run for her money.
Oh, good. So he doesn't want to microchip them?
Can you imagine? Okay.
They think she sells records. Bullshit. Yeah. Okay, great. In some demos she does, but not in the world of rock and roll. Somebody put out whether it's a rock.
In the world of rock and roll.
Has there ever been a less? He looks like one of the ghouls in Alice Cooper's stage shows right now, and he's talking about rock and roll. You know how many fucking gold records we sold? I know, because in my bowling alley I got a Limp Bizkit record that was from the studio. It was 4K rock that I took, and I know I had nothing to do with it.
Look at my wall of guitars, motherfucker.
I'm all about pussy. I'm all about rock and roll.
Record, we're the place to go. Publicists don't think about us. They don't care about us. Some do. Most don't.
Does he hate now? Is it everybody with a P? He hates he hates plumbers and he hates publicists because they don't like the show.
And he hates pussy.
He hates pediatricians because it involves his kids. He hates pussy. That's right. That was not that was not me, guys. That was him looking for a pause, shuffling. What's he reaching for? Is he reaching for his 38?
I don't know. And this hair at this angle, I mean, my God, if that is not one ugly homeless woman, I don't know what it is.
Well, he's looking at this screen with such confusion. It's almost as if, he did this, but he doesn't remember doing it.
Well, he's yelling.
Yeah.
And his points are obviously conflicting with one sentence to another. So
Right.
First it was, look at what we have to offer. Now it's Publicist. Nobody knows. Some know. Some. What?
It's like Two-Face. He's like Harvey Dent.
I just want to know who these publicists are, because I would love to interview them to see the approach that they
It would be hysterical.
misspelled pamphlets.
Yeah, exactly.
Same result for
Pamphlets.
people.
He's
Only we don't have a book club to track it.
He's scratching.
Now we're going to start tracking our successes, and we're going to get them out to the world. How we do it?
Packets distributed to publicists with this info. First of all, what's a packet?
Oh God, you know what this looks like? Hell to me. This looks like hell. Like when you show up at a shitty hotel and you don't even know where or what's going on, and you're like, there's a million brochures, and you're like, I just want to get my nails done. Like, what is this?
Right next to the Gideon's Bible, there's all these pamphlets. Well, look, Kangajoo Land. There's a child's water park here, and
Ripley's
Darien
Believe It or
Lake.
Not.
Yeah, please believe it or not, exactly. Go down to the dinner theater. So distributed to publicists with this info. What info?
African Lion Safari.
The Bebop Shop, Liverpool, where music is still fun.
I mean, seriously, this is so embarrassing.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Probably as a radio show, this is the first time in the history of radio an organization this big. I mean, look around us. I worked in radio for years. I had maybe one other person.
You have? You would think the way this presentation is going, it's his first month. I mean,
It's like a lemonade stand no one's buying, and you start changing the price on it, and still no one buys. You're a kid.
do you think he has Alzheimer's? I'm not even kidding. Because you know how when parents start going downhill, they start regressing in ways that are like, this was his career for his whole life, and this is really like the first day of school. I don't know what the fuck this presentation is, but do you think his declining mental capacity is it's going down because he has some sort of Alzheimer's, or do you think he's just always been this stupid and now we notice more?
Well, for years, I really thought he was playing dumb, and he was way smarter than he is. Like Dice, his whole image was the Brooklyn dumbo, but Dice is a very, very smart person, not book smart. And he, Wiggy was. It happened so often, and he said so many stupid things. Like, no one could act that stupid for that long and maintain it. Do you know what I mean? And then sort of step it up for an interview, but then you hear the interview long form and you go, no, he really is retarded. Like he's just dumb. And do I think he has Alzheimer's? Now from what we understand, listening to the show, we cover the breakdowns regularly or semi-regularly as much as we choose to based on the content. And he's made noises that Ben doesn't know where he is. Ben's like gone, dementia, Ben Stern.
Yeah.
So it's hereditary. I would say Alzheimer's is pretty hereditary if you live long enough. My dad's starting to sundown from the last couple years, and he's doing well considering. And he's sharp with certain things. It all depends on how you approach him and with what, like how you talk to him. Nowadays, I don't have to, but I speak to my dad in Greek. I get more out of him. When I speak to him in English, sometimes it's a little, touch and go.
Testy.
No, well, he's fine with me, but from what I understand, he's easier to get like riled up, unfortunately, but that's the nature of it. And so with him, I think it's a combination of being just stupid, like incredibly dumb, low IQ, and deluded. And with the NPD, covert NPD that we went through with Bob D, and will continue to do so in the future, guys. Stay tuned. Shameless plug. He is just a mess of nonsense.
Yeah, this is just really one slide to the next just contradicts each other, and now it's, you know, a tour from hell. It's just like
I'm actually looking at these pamphlets, the Milky Way, and then this one's haunted, so it's probably like a haunted walk somewhere that he just
it's your outfit.
Like, yeah, exactly.
We've got all these people. We also work in Sirius that has an art department, and they have a publicity department, and we're not using them.
What do you need it for? Like, they have a publicity department and an art department. You won't allow yourself to be photographed except a certain way. Do you remember that one, that GIF that Benjamin put together where he's on the love seat photo with like 70 different cyber celebrities, and it's the same picture every time, same angle? So he doesn't allow photos of himself on the website that he doesn't approve. He airbrushes Benji out of pictures with celebs, and when he's been in the back.
He doesn't even allow pictures for when they do the Christmas party or the big cast picture. If he doesn't like himself, he's like, nope, not happening. Nobody's getting it.
That's right. So what art are they going, what is an art department going to do for you, buddy?
Now we're going to have packets distributed to publicists with all of the information I'm giving you. We're going to become packet and marketing crazy.
Okay, so go ahead.
With how technology works, do you think publicists want to carry around packets? I mean,
they don't even carry business cards anymore. I don't even know if I'm sure they exist on some kind of person-to-person level, but who uses them? You exchange phone numbers, emails.
Do you honestly think that these people don't know who you are? Of course they know who you are. You're fucking Howard Stern.
Right.
This is insanity. So we're going to give them a fucking packet explaining what Sirius is? We've been here since 2005. I mean,
how's this different from saying, look, here's a copy of the Watchtower?
It would be like if he lived next door to me for 7 years and was like, hey, I moved into the neighborhood 7 years ago.
Exactly. So active relationship management with publicists. And as we said before, Bowie has spent, I don't know, fucking decades trying to crowbar his way into guys like Rob Burnett, Jimmy Kimmel's show. We heard audio ages ago about how his son got in with Kimmel, like as an intern ages ago, Gary's.
Right. But see, this is another conundrum. He sat there and said he doesn't want the people on the show fucking with the celebs. Don't talk to them. Don't ask them for things. Well, that's not how it works. Actually, these relationships are all one hand washes the other. So none of this makes sense.
No. And in order to get these connections, you have to cultivate. It's true, but you don't do it by giving them like factoids and saying, oh, look how many, we sold 10,000 records for Duran Duran when they went on the show. Well, no, we can check this out. We can directly, like now because of SoundScan, we know exactly how many records get sold on any given day and every given week.
Right.
So
you don't want them to hobnob with them, or do you? Because I thought the edict was no hobnobbing, no talking, no inviting to parties, nothing.
Leave them alone. Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to build relationships with everyone's management. How can we not? We're in satellite. It's not the same reach as terrestrial radio. We got to get the word out. We got to shake hands. It's like we're running for office. It's like we're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Boom. He just got it in there. And I'm going to play a little audio clip later, probably in the next part, guys, if we don't get through this one, because we've only got an extra 4 minutes and we're doing pretty well so far. And I don't care how long it takes. Jehovah's Witnesses, guys. Jehovah's Witnesses, the only religion I know that goes door to door actively soliciting for membership. Right?
Right.
Still get them. I have no. I'm not trying to denigrate Jehovah's Witnesses guys. I went to school with a bunch of them, and they were actually quite nice people. But I don't get Christians coming up to the door. I don't get Jews coming to the door. I don't get Satanists coming to the door asking me to join. And the idea that he's now going again, we're on satellite. It's a different medium. No one's aware of us. You just explained how in one previous slides, we have 23 million paid subscribers.
Start knocking.
We knock on people's doors and get guests in here. Guests are the best bit that we can have.
Oh, you don't even know what your own show is.
No, you don't. Like this, this is my question to you, Sam. Is this right now a direct result of Marcy blowing smoke up his ass, saying this is, you got to go become the great interviewer?
I think it's a combination of he wants to be Jimmy Kimmel.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to shed the image of the creep. He doesn't realize he was cool though. Like,
yeah, to a certain demographic. There were some people that he's never going to appeal to. Like, whatever was going to happen, he's just never going to be popular.
We will never care if Gwyneth Paltrow came in for an interview. We don't give a fuck if Madonna never sat down with you. Never. We don't give two flying fucks about these people. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even understand his own show. It's so sad.
And it's not long after the summit that Back Office Radio stopped, Geek Time stopped. What was the one? The Show in the Hallway stopped. All these extra things. Riley Martin, intern show. All this stuff went out the fucking window, and then all you got was Sternthology all the way down, and then like the Abe Cannon show went. I think Fitzsimmons still had a show, and Jay Thomas had a show, and that was about it. Then it was all Sternthology.
And every one of these guests should be on our show. And dare I say, when I fucking hear people say, well, that guy's not going to want to come in here. It's bullshit. From now on, I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. Okay? I don't want to hear it. That means, again, choosing to be deluded.
I'm inspired.
Well, this is one of my favorite bits here, okay? He has a number of relationships with all major record labels. Half of these were either amalgamated or dissolved completely by the time he did this. Arista Records, I don't think they were around anymore. I think they were gobbled up. Island Records, I don't know when they stopped.
I love Jive Records. They're the ones who did Britney Spears.
Well, I mean, Warner Brothers, Atlantic, like, why is Paramount? Paramount has a record division? I know Interscope does. And he's missed a bunch anyway.
Let's not make sense of this. You're missing a message, Fillmore.
Warner Brothers Records.
They should be begging us. Every record company should be begging us because we can actually sell records.
Go ahead, Sam.
Is Motown up there? I'm just wondering. Hold on.
It is, right here.
Oh, shit! I thought I was going to be like, damn
right under Jive. Yeah, right under Jive. I don't see Sub Pop anywhere.
Record labels need to know what we do.
I love this. He's just reading it out right. Record labels
need to know that we
responsible for selling millions of what? Stilettos? Make artists relatable to new audiences. Yeah. Record companies should work with us. Record labels should be clamoring for us. This sounds so fucking desperate. It really is like a pitch to some girlfriend that you have no shot of getting, It's like Can't Buy Me Love. Go ahead, Sam.
And here again is these 4 points all conflate. So we're responsible for selling millions. They should want to work with us, and they should be clamoring for us. I mean,
right.
Well,
what? Okay.
Aren't you responsible for selling millions?
Well, that's kind of the problem. There's a few things also. Make artists relatable to new audiences.
Graphics. I mean, what is this? 1975? This slide.
I think that's the gold, the platinum album award for High and Dry that he ripped off from WNEW or whatever that he just decided to Photoshop there. I don't know. The idea that make artists relatable to new audiences. Who determines who likes an artist? No, people People determine that. And he has no new audience. He doesn't have an audience now. Didn't we just talk about in the previous part about the Arbitron rating where they said he had barely like a couple 100,000 listeners regularly per day?
It was 1.2 million per week. So at any given moment per week, that's only a couple 100,000 per day.
And by the way, guys, it's not like the old day, and it was never like the old days where, albums were selling 1 million a week. Just look at the charts. The number one record these days sells like something like 80,000 copies, physical copies or DVD, like downloadable copies. Most people are downloading music like crazy for nothing. So record companies were in the shitter in 2013. It's kind of irrelevant to be talking about music at this point. They were making their money touring and selling swag at their concerts, as far as I know now. Ask most bands, they'll tell you the same thing. Sam?
Yeah, and even as of 2007 or whatever, when Chris Rock was coming in, he was saying like, nobody's hearing us anyway, because they were on satellite. And that was when it was supposed to be at its height. So could you imagine now how tanking this is? They should be clamoring for what?
No, for nothing.
For a pamphlet?
Yeah.
I've got walls of gold records attributing sales.
You brought it up. I know you. No, you didn't.
To our show.
Oh.
And today we made Jewel current and relatable. That's money in the bank for a record company. We made Billy Corgan relatable to our audience. That same audience that pays for radio will pay for music and will pay for concert tickets. We are so valuable. Record companies work with.
Were you laughing at the wig scratch?
We're so valuable that I'm basically telling you guys that you're this close to being serious Jehovah Witnesses.
Not only that,
I'm going to be like making you bang on publicists and managers' doors with pamphlets. That's how valuable we are.
This is how successful we are. If we're not here in 3 years, you don't have a job. That came out of his mouth. This is what the speech you give to the plant you're restructuring to lay off like 5,000 employees in order to stay alive.
It really is like the U.S. arrived. We got to start. We got to crank up the ovens.
Us record labels should be clamoring for us, and we're not doing our job. We're not telling anybody.
So he puts a letter on here. Pitching celebs the right way. You can't really read it. Even I've tried to enlarge it. It's washed out a little bit by just the rendering here, and I don't believe anybody filming it could have read it properly either. But it's basically a pitch letter, and it looks like a suicide note.
It's from the Bronco.
Tell mom I love her. Leave my records to Leroy.
My friend AC.
I'm going to give you a story.
I love Nicole.
An email my wife got.
You got an email from Jenny Hutt. Do we remember who this was?
Always remember the juice.
Okay.
I'm never getting over this.
Jenny Hutt, also known as Jennifer Hutt, is a 50-ish now. She's a couple years older than me, and she had some dealings with XM and Sirius. It says here, from 2005 to 2011, Hutt co-hosted Whatever with Alexis and Jennifer, a daily talk show, radio talk show on Sirius XM with Alexis Stewart, Martha Stewart's daughter. It says here since 2012, Hutt has hosted her own radio show on Sirius XM called Just Jenny. So it says in 2010, she also began co-hosting the John Hine TV show, also on Sirius XM. In other words, very Sirius XM heavy personality. So that's who she was. Originally, when I heard this, I'm like, who the fuck is Jenny Hutt? Maybe because I don't have Sirius. I don't know.
I've always had Sirius, and I've never heard of her.
Okay, so it's Jenny Hutt's pitching something to Beth. Who knows what this was about?
You guys know what Jenny Hutt is? She does, okay. Jenny Hutt does a show here on Sirius.
She does okay.
I think she has a team of one person, Jenny Hutt. This letter is not that effective in terms of what's written on it, but what it is, it says, Dear Beth, hi, my name is Jenny Hutt, and here's what I do. I have a show coming up on Sirius. I'd love to have you as a guest. Here's the concept of the show. We're looking to interview you on a treadmill. That's our idea. It's called The Treadmill Show. It's kind of a cute idea, and we're doing this. And here's a sample of questions that we're going to ask you. By the way, Sandra Bernhardt's done the show. We'd love to see you. Well, fuck. I want to hire Jenny Hutt.
Okay. It's a treadmill idea. This is like some demented, Jenny Hutt, by the way, sounds like she's just trying to rip off. There was a show in England, I think it was In Bed, like Breakfast with Paula Yates or something, Bob Geldof's now deceased ex-wife. She basically would do interviews in bed, but not, sleeping together. But the whole concept was you're going to interview them while you're under the covers together. And okay, quirky, weird, maybe it could only exist in England, but this isn't really unique. And he's already denigrating the pitch, and he's going like, Jenny Hutt, maybe you know who she is. She's on the fucking channel, blah, blah, blah. So you were going to say, Sam, please.
And he said, of course he has to crowbar Beth in here somehow. Yeah, why am I not surprised?
Right.
But this pitch, he goes, this isn't that effective, but
I want to hire her.
Why are we putting a slide up for it? This isn't that effective, but I'm going to yell at you because you guys aren't doing this. I mean, what the fuck?
Or because she has one person and she's doing this. Because he said she has one person. So you're saying you're overstaffed, Howard.
Right. And by the way, all of these guest wish lists that you hope for, they could happen. Pick up a phone.
Yeah. And apparently
see all those emails you were so proud of deleting.
Yeah.
And putting into folders.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up, press new, go to the 2, write Madonna.
Yeah.
Right on the subject line. Hi, it's me, Howard Stern. And write, come on my show, please. See what happens. I bet you that's more effective than fucking sending them African Lion Safari pamphlets of bullshit.
Anybody wants an analogy in football? We're talking European football. Michael Owen, when he was leaving Real Madrid, he put together a pamphlet because nobody wanted him because he was really injury prone. And famous British striker. He played for Liverpool. He played for Newcastle eventually. He put together for the first time, people never seen this before, a pamphlet, like a 10-page or 8-page thing highlighting his achievements. And it was such a pitch. People like, what the fuck is this about? And I mean, it did work. He did find another club, but it was clearly like someone dressing up a piece of shit car and trying to tell you, hey, it runs perfectly. It's going to work. And most people are smart enough to see the bullshit. Like a time-sharing condominium pitch, or like a stock pitch, or some Nigerian prince telling you you're sitting on a mother load and you don't know it. You just help him move the gold.
Right, like an auto sales, how they do the auctioning off, and it's like,
yes.
Oh, on the website that looks really good, and then when you get there, it's like you start the car and there's like rust falling off of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, the fuck am I doing?
It sounds like that phony phone call that Richard he recorded his own shits, and then he called up a car company, and then first thing he said, "Why don't you hear me start it?" And he played the shit sound. The guy goes, "Sounds like you got a bad motor." Sorry, it just reminded me. I'm sorry, I forgot. You're a little squeamish about that stuff. Anyway, the whole point is how do you motivate people this way? How do you tell them this is crap? I want to hire her. What are you saying? The people you're working with are worse? I'd rather have a polished turd than these sort of raw turds that I have here.
See this shitty manifesto that really doesn't do anything? This is what you should be doing.
You know why? Because a team of one is putting together this letter. Are we sending letters to people describing what we're doing on the show? No, we're not. We're not doing jack shit.
Why would you have to say what you're doing on the show? You've been on for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
We make a call. I don't want to do the show. Okay, goodbye.
We make a call. Let's go back to it just for a moment. Sam, please say what you got to say.
Could you imagine the Today Show being like, Why would the Today Show have to describe to somebody what they are?
Listen, hey, we're 60 Minutes. I don't know if you've heard about us, but we would like to place a microphone in your general vicinity, the business end of a microphone. And what we do is we use words in such a fashion that you expound on your life, and we record it, and it goes on TV, and it will be on a thing called a channel, and that channel is used to be on your dial. Now it's on your converter. You know, do you have one of those remotes that plugs into the thing and change? Oh, okay, no, it's a technology thing. So anyway, like the idea that you have to explain. What was that one clip we played earlier when we did the breakdown? But watercoloring. You had to explain.
Oh, for fuck's sake! And Mia and my kids shot that to hell in fucking 2 seconds. Said it was cheating.
It's the funniest thing ever. So I was just thinking about this. Now I've lost my train of thought. But he goes, we call celebs. Yeah, that was it. He said, we call celebs. And they go, no, not interested. Okay, bye. For years, they bragged they never called celebs. They never called people to be a guest. People called them. Do we have to assume and presume now that they have to actively chase guests because of how irrelevant they are?
Yeah, I assume that. And because they
Maybe
want a different kind of guest.
Yeah, because the only people calling are like Bob Levy or whoever. Like, and I'm not knocking Bob Levy, but if you want A-list people have to be wooed. You can't just expect a call from them or they're doing the rounds. That doesn't work like that.
But again, he doesn't know what his show is. The best guests were the comedians.
Yeah, absolutely. Or would-be comedians, yeah.
What about a letter?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
and when I say comedians, I don't mean Chelsea Disturbed Handler, disgusting fuck.
Amy Schumer, Nikki Glazer, all these fucking bimbats.
Seth Meyers and countless shit. Oh, fucking awful.
Now this is one of the slides that made me laugh hysterically when I saw it. 2013, everyone pitches in, and there's a picture of a pitcher. Because in case you didn't get pitches, guys, he meant baseball. No, he means he needs you to help. Rich and Sal write creative publicity pitches. A pitch, guys, designed to sell you to someone. Richard and Sal are not PR people. The news team writes publicity pitches. Okay, news, yes, they're supposed to report on stuff, but they're not news. No one goes to Howard 100 to check out what's happening in the world or to find out, that they're going to make their own The Blast at Sirius. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's what essentially, though, the Howard news team turned into, because he wouldn't have them report anything truthful about his life anymore.
And in the end, what they were doing was basically doing Stuttering John's job for him. They're just saying like, oh, I heard that Artie, he broke the vending machine, and all of a sudden that became a bit. Okay, fine. But don't make it into what anything more than what it was, just extra promo for the next thing that was going to happen. But then they became personalities. Lisa G did. Penny Crone certainly did until she was let go. But then Howard TV make video pitches, send to Publicist. That's not their job.
No, and then he wouldn't want them to do that anyways, because he told them not to bother these people.
Don't bother these fucking people. Absolutely. The job of Howard TV was to record the show in video form, edit it, and then put together stuff like the show in the hall room with Sal. It was just content. It was meant for Tim Sabian and Doug Goodstein to come up with creative ways to sell the video component. That's all. It was never meant to be like, look at Howard interviewing, Kid Rock and, get this out to, whoever else. Edited clips, Billy Joel, Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, Tom Cruise, we want you.
Okay. Oh my God. Do you think he knows what a homonym is?
He knows the first 4 letters anyway. Are we going to go a little further?
This is the key to this whole thing. We all pitch in. This is all our show. I'm telling you, it's our show. Richard and Sal, if you think your only job is to make phony phone calls or to sit in a writing meeting with Fred, it's not.
Really?
By the way, are you gonna fucking pay them more for this? No.
I mean, this gets me so riled up because it's like, okay, you think that this is your only job? Yeah, because you've only told me to do this job. All of a sudden now, by the way, Ken might be right because look at that pitch. That might be a dig at Gary.
Well, no, without a doubt, the whole meeting is meant to debase Gary, and it's meant to really illustrate that he's not a producer, he's not a manager, he's not managing the office, he's not the office manager, he's the office, like, I don't know, fucking beanbag chair that everybody sits on and decides to, just bitch slap whenever they want. No one had any respect for Gary ever, and who would, especially after the way he treats them. On the air,
he's
off
the
the
lunch
air.
monitor.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's an overpaid traffic, like hall cop. You can go in. Anyway, yeah, I think the whole thing was meant to be like, fuck you. The same way Shitgate was meant to humiliate Tim Sabian and get him the fuck out of there. And people like craving for that fucking saga, which I cannot stand. Anyway, let's continue.
Write a creative pitch. News team. What's better for you guys when a celebrity, you can interview them, and you see them on the Howard Stern show? It leads to news, it leads to ideas, and guess what? If the Howard Stern show isn't here in 3 years, the news team doesn't have jobs. And I bet you guys this is the best job you've ever had. But
Jesus Christ. Anybody want to discuss the inception of the news team, which was basically to create bullshit content until he was on the air, till he was allowed to air at Sirius? He let go of, can't remember who it was, not George Flowers. Beanie Mac will know better than me the exact chronology, but they started slowly letting these people go because it was bloated and pointless. They need 12 people on a fucking news team?
And just hold this thought in your head, everyone, that he wants, wouldn't this be great for you guys to interview celebrities and you get the big scoop and you get to do all this? Hold this thought in your head because he's about to knock that on its ass real quick. What he just said would just wait.
Yeah,
hold
keep that
in
in
your
mind.
head, though.
Exactly.
it's a lot of fun. But you've got to help this. You've got to help too. Howard TV. You guys do great production.
Not great enough to keep.
Why shouldn't it be that if someone says, hey, let's pitch Tom Cruise, why don't we have a couple of 30-second donuts, the best commercials, to show Tom Cruise who's done our show? Billy Joel, David Bowie.
He looks nuts.
Julia Roberts, Paul McCartney. Where's the fucking commercial?
Okay. Now this is the one part where I sort of feel that he almost makes sense if he said it the right way. They have had shitloads of guests over the years, but they had Julia Roberts on one time because they were like berating her or something, and she did it reluctantly in like 97. I think there's a video out there, and never had her again. And Gary, in the previous episode, I explained how he went on the wrap-up show and explained, we can't get A-level guests. I understand the idea of putting a reel together, a video, and advertising it on regular like TV or whatever and saying, look who's on the show, that makes sense. Yeah. But the guests he was getting up until then is David Spade, Joan Rivers, rappers who are, no longer rapping really much anymore or even producing, just like, they're become moguls and they're not relevant. No one cares. Joan Rivers fans care about Joan Rivers at that time. David Spade fans, both of them, care about David Spade, but no one else cares.
And they're also doing other shows. So it's like this high frequency of guest appearances. So you're not just getting them on Stern, you're getting them other places, and they're more visible because of social media. So again, not understanding what your show's worth is. This is an all-time high of celebrity saturation because of the pull of social media, because it's at a fever pitch and because celebrities are narcissists at their heart. So they're constantly exposing themselves. If you were a smart man, you would have realized your content is in the contrarian idea that your show is the show. And it always was. And the celebrities were just fixtures that sometimes came into your world and how they reacted to it. But like a dumb fuck, he went, full blown dive in the pool like Bianca. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, well, the other thing was he also didn't quite understand, and in this point you can really tell he didn't also understand that the celebrity interviews on his show were good because they weren't like the other interviews. Now they're worse than other interviews that they do, like the 8-minute fluff piece. They are like, now instead of an 8-minute fluff piece on Colbert, they're 90 minutes on his show. By 2013, they were already getting like that. So I don't know what the fuck he thinks. Yeah. Do you know? You go through the questions, guys. Do you have jealousy about your brother or sister? Were they jealous of you? Did you? Let's go through the wiki list of questions. Do you go to therapy?
What I think of, like when he has an interview, I think of the Stations of the Cross.
Do you remember the song? Do you remember writing the song?
And I'm oh, he fell for the third time. It's just like fucking torture just to get there.
Absolutely.
We send to Publicist. Don't have one. Lady Gaga did the show. We can't ignore something like that. We've got to use that. We got to maximize it.
Okay. Let me see if I can guess. Are you laughing at the Howard TV action, the "We Want You" finger, which is close to Fist Fest, or Howard doing
at that fruity float away gif that keeps on giving?
Okay. No, look. This is my favorite part of it. Looking at this with this quizzical, comical, dumbfounded look. Like the same way Rocky and Rocky 2, he's in that cage and he has to read that. He has to read that. This
that cologne
that aftershave makes me smell real good because it don't ever. Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. I can't read that. Are you taking a screen cap? I'll do it right now just to fuck around. Yeah. So. Yeah, this is okay. So this is part of the previous slide as well. We want you. Okay.
So I propose that part of our marketing strategy, like Jenny Hutt who sends letters, Howard TV is going to be part of this marketing strategy. And they're going to be making some great pitches.
That fucking Gabardine is he's digging a hole into his side. He's going to have one of those. What do they call it when they pick away at when people who have when they what's it called when someone who's a paraplegic or quadriplegic has a hole in their, it starts developing in their skin and it gets infected. What's it called? Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, it'll come back to me. It happens because of the blood flow and they have to keep shifting all the time. Otherwise they get not sores, lesions. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Anyway, it eats a hole into their skin because they get infected.
Bed sores.
That's exactly it. You got it. 10 points for Sam. And he's like itching at the same fucking thing. I want to know what in God's name is causing that itch.
That fucking worm coming out of his hat.
Tapeworm.
And an Uncle Sam hat. Howard Stern wants you. And then show them the incredible, in 30 seconds, bam, 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 the clips, this to that. Show them a production piece that tells them a success story like Billy Corgan's.
Show them a production piece that shows the host hidden behind a microphone the size of Rhode Island. Show them a production piece of this fucking Lady Gaga. They already had her on, and they would have her on like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. It wasn't like she was a big get at that point. Certain people that...
can you picture being in this audience, Fillmore? Like, I am feeling so much for Richie Wilson, even more now.
I would feel, actually, you know what? I would be fascinated in the way that when you watch a shitty film and you just can't wait to see how bad it's going to get. Like when you're watching Battlefield Earth or something. I don't know. It's extraordinary.
Him selling those records. Where is the marketing push? Why are we not all involved? It's bugging the shit out of me, and I don't know why we're not. So we're going to tell publishers everything. We work with you to reach your goals. We give you multiple plugs. No one gives you as many plugs as we do. We sell records, we sell books, we sell product, we sell concerts.
So we said earlier in the first part of this, guys, that one of the mistakes you make is touching the lectern, doing like fidgeting. He's been fidgeting. He's scratching his hair. He's scratching his side. Scratching his fucking hole. He's looking constantly. You're not supposed to turn your back on your audience. He's done that about 60% of the time. He's looking at this thing instead of looking at you, the viewer.
Yeah, and his presence is awkward, not commanding. It's commanding in the sense of, what the fuck am I looking at? It's distracting. It's not commanding.
It's like commanding. It really is like looking at squashed puppies. Yeah. Like, geez, I can sort of make this out. What is this? And he's also, this is kind of key. This picture he's got here is from maybe 2007, 2006. So you want to talk about how current you are, but you're using photos that are ancient. You're using graphics that are ancient. You're using a template that must have been created when the VIC-20 came out. And I don't understand why, in God's name, Sam, he wouldn't give this to a professional to put together. Like, just literally give them the notes, and they come back to him and say, "Are you sure you meant this? Did you mean this?" Money. Yeah, exactly. And ego? Do you think, I don't need anybody, I can do this myself?
Money, ego, maybe trying to show off. Maybe he thought this was good. I don't know.
I'm convinced he thinks it was like the best thing since the fucking first speech of Patton.
This is a major push for 2013.
Wait a minute. Did he? I know the Blast is a TMZ arm. Is this his paid for arm? Like, does he have some sort of business venture with the Blast? You'll have to look. Partner. I wonder when they came out.
So what we've got here, guys, is this cocaine blast. I have no idea. Sam thought it might have been part of the Blast, which didn't come into existence until 2017 of September or so. There's a YouTube channel for the Blast as well. Mike Walters was the guy who started the Blast, which is where all these Beth Stern articles are coming out of. That when we search. And Sam's it's been inundated with Beth Stern saving the wayward kitties of the world Blast articles.
It's saving crabs now, Fillmore, from deadly balloons. But she's ramped up since they started reporting on Stern when the Blast
and the
started.
Blackface stuff, yeah.
Well, no, they reported on Stern in the Blast. Like, kind of cutesy articles about him or about the show here and there, and then all of a sudden it's reached this fever pitch of every time Beth, this must be Buchwald or something, every time she posts a selfie of her in a bikini looking totally fucking average or less than average, they say Beth Stern crushes it, and it's now reached a fever pitch of its every other week. This website is now running full-blown stories about her in a bathing suit, and then they just go into the article from last week. So there's no new news happening. So they've tied the crab story and the balloons into she's an environmentalist now to she's saving the planet. And this is all from her just fucking chilling in her backyard. In a bikini. I mean, it's insane.
She's a regular Diana Horsey. I think here's the article I found from page 6, and it was from that September when it was released. 3 of TMZ boss. I'll read it for everybody who doesn't feel like reading it, or is just listening on podcast or what have you. 3 of TMZ boss Harvey Levin's top lieutenants are now working for a rival site. As page 6 first reported, Levin's longtime number 2, Mike Walters, quit to start his own operation. On Monday, Walters announced he's launched theblast.com, and we hear a raft of TMZ alums, including former top-tier staff Gary Trock and Daniel Goldblatt, are manning Walters' new site. So as it goes down further, in a New York Times story on Monday announcing the launch, Walters said his team was made up of, quote, journalists from places like People, the Daily Mail, and MSNBC. And then it gives a list of names. So the TMZ, so there's a split. Somebody else was right when they messaged this. It was definitely a split to be like TMZ-esque, and doesn't explain. It doesn't have really. It's fairly average, I guess, or mediocre in terms of viewership. And in terms of viewer retention, something like 1.5 minutes that they stay on their site. And that's about it.
Yeah, they look at 1.5 pages and then they're done. That's the retention for it. We looked up those stats and we just thought of that because he keeps saying blast, blast, blast throughout this whole presentation. And so this part of me just obviously since, I've been inundated with Captain Planet Beth, saving the world one article at a time, just kind of made me think like, I wonder if he has anything to do with this.
I think in news, it is a term they use for like a small piece, like called a blast. And it's supposed to be like a 3-minute piece on something very short for, this ADHD population we have now where people can't fucking focus on anything, much less maybe our podcast for 2.5 hours. But so it predates the actual website, but Sam was wondering, do they pay the blast to put these articles? And I'm thinking they absolutely have to be paying them. I think they absolutely use their money as shills. We don't know. We have no proof. But corporate wise, why wouldn't Howard's paid money for TMZ to not run bad stories about him? Why wouldn't he pay a pittance? I don't know, $5,000 or $1,000. Say, here, run this article about Beth. Why wouldn't they? And they'd take the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it to me, it just seems like a shill website. There was a couple other ones online. I can't remember. One of them was called like the New Lighthouse or something like that. It sounded so fly by night that you go, this has to be just paid propaganda.
Yeah, most of that paid propaganda has gone out of business. Whirl magazine and Razor.
Do you remember Whale Rock?
FHM.
Do you remember Whale Rock? That was the big
Do you
announce.
remember Laughter?
He was supposed to do all these fucking things. He loves the announce, but nothing ever happens. So this is a talent email plus tweet blast sent monthly, not daily or hourly, but monthly.
Email people and we blast them. And by blast them, I mean every month, our core team, is going to make sure that all the key publicists, all the key management, artists that we can get to, are going to be contacted.
Yeah, Sam.
Most popular, he's been on Twitter lately, is for being in blackface multiple times and using the N-word. In old 93 clips. So I think this campaign failed.
Just a little bit, just a wee bit.
No one is going to forget that we exist. We are going to be like Moonies.
Another cult he had to bring up. You're going to be like Moonies. We're going to be like Hare Krishnas. I just got this image of Robert Stack going through the airport, beating up all these people who are trying to sell him stuff. It's like Howard Stern. Hey, buy a flower. Just knocking their heads in. So the next thing here, leverage friends of the court. And in the 6 boxes you see, of course, Whitney Cummings, who is almost non-existent. When's the last time she was on the show, to the best of your knowledge?
Oh, she came in to talk about that Netflix special, which I had to watch because I had to know how awful it was for when she was going to talk about it on the show, so I could write an awful, scathing review about it, which I did.
Okay.
But,
and
content
how
stolen.
Bad was it? How bad was it?
It was awful. Top
Whitney,
to bottom,
worse than the leather special, which you also gave a scathing review.
God, those are so neck and neck. The leather special was worse, but this one was not far behind. It's not. You're not winning. You're winning by a hair.
You're just not losing as badly. Jerry Seinfeld, who was in, Whitney Cummings was in too. Like, I mean, these people did come back, and Jerry Seinfeld, even in 2020, did a Zoom interview with him. So they're still sort of making the rounds here and there. Kathy Griffin, who I don't recall the last time she was on, and especially after the whole debacle with the where she got all that bad publicity for the Trump photo. I think it was Vanity Fair. I can't remember which might have been Entertainment Weekly. I can't remember. But either way, she got in trouble for holding a severed head of Trump. And even like Anderson Cooper left her high and dry after that. I mean, it was really, she lost her New Year's gig. She lost all kinds of stuff after that from both sides. And I don't think she's been on since, has she?
I don't care. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like, let's look at this leverage friends of the court, which basically means blackmail and like basically say, hey, fucks, remember me? And you know what, except for Whitney Cummings, I really don't see what he did for anyone else. David Letterman helped him, not the other way around.
Yeah, not
Kathy
the other
Griffin,
way around.
I don't know. Maybe that was a mistake. Like, what does she have to do with any of this? Howard Stern and her career had nothing to do with each other.
The Adam Levine one is fascinating to me because Adam Levine was selling millions of records before the Stern Show, and he's still selling millions, even though this is a non-record buying, sort of generation. No one buys records anymore. I mean, I still buy CDs every now and then from bands I really like because I want them to have the money, or I'll get a direct download. I have no problem not having physical copies of shit, or it's a gift for someone. But the one thing I wanted to mention was oh God, now it's on the tip of my tongue. Leverage friends of the court. To leverage, it reminds me of an old Jackie Leonard bit. Guys, if you don't know Jackie Leonard, I'm going to take it deep into the bowels of comedy. He was Don Rickles before there was Don Rickles, and he told at the Rickles roast, he said something along the lines of, he goes, I was at a restaurant called the Leaning Tower of Pizza, and he goes, I'm now a member. I paid $20 and a hubcap, and I'm now a member. Italian fellow came up to me. He goes, you are going to join, aren't you, sir? The sort of idea. The way this leverage, it sounds like you got nude Polaroids of Whitney Cummings, and so you're saying you're going to be on this show, won't you?
Yeah.
Leverage.
I mean, this is like, the local. This is like the lower version of Epstein's fucking Black Book.
But also, like Jon Stewart, he's gonna go on to say he did Jon Stewart's MTV show, which I vaguely remember.
I posted that clip before, and it's like, it's really, who cares? So he did a show. By the way, Howard, besides going on Letterman a lot, which was doing him a favor, hasn't done shit for any of these people. And Adam Levine, he's like the most crossover radio person in music. I mean, like, he can any station will play him. He's like easy listening mom rock.
Yeah, pretty much. But also teeny bopper, and those teeny boppers grew up, but they'll still listen to his shit. He does also, you know how much fucking Adam Levine music goes into movies these days without even realizing it? Like, without even going into the film and knowing it, he's writing for soundtracks. Stuff's getting used in so many ways, probably even commercials too, for all I know. But either way, he doesn't need Stern. Stewart doesn't need Stern. Stewart retired. He didn't give a fuck anymore. Letterman did not need Stern ever. He was always like a mercy mission to have Stern on the show. Whenever he or Beth needed something to plug, he would have them on.
Leverage friends of the court. What do I mean by friends of the court? Whitney Cummings was doing jack shit when we found her. She was in clubs. She was going nowhere fast.
This is also like a Don Rickles line. He goes, I saw Lucy. She was working at the Trocadero. She was going nowhere. This is also slightly bullshit. Whitney Cummings did the hottest chick, funniest comedian thing with April Macy and I think Esther Koo, who's still making the rounds. And I saw her live. She's still doing material from 10 years earlier, and she was just as unfunny then as she was then. She at that point, when she was on the Stern Show, she was writing for Comedy Central, the roasts. She was writing for the roasts and kind of made her bones writing jokes. And then she was working for Punk'd, I think.
She was doing a lot of different TV shows. I remember seeing her a lot on Chelsea Handler. Because that show was pretty popular then, that show that Chelsea Handler had.
That's right. And so what happened was she basically did the rounds, and eventually she became the it girl comedian, because they can always have one. They can only have one at a time that gets this notoriety. Then she had her own show, which kind of flopped, and then she wrote and co-created Two Broke Girls, and that really kind of made her, not Stern. And Two Broke Girls would have been maybe 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
and no, it's around that time period, but I do think that he could say like he had something to do with her success or elevating it slightly or something, but the way he's making it sound, he's making himself seriously seem like Carson, and it's couldn't be farther from the truth.
No, and just to give you sort of the surprising take on it, guys, maybe surprising. I didn't hear about her, of course. I'll be the first to admit, I only heard about her through the Stern Show. That was the first I heard of her, and I think a lot of people would agree with me there. Bill Maher, I think, was one of the people who kind of debunked the whole, once you got on Carson, your career was set. He explained very flatly, and even though Bill Maher was a very big Johnny Carson devotee, he said, no, by the time I got on, there were too many comics out there. You just couldn't, it wasn't the whole thing of getting a sitcom and then becoming a huge success. It was just it was oversaturated with comedy at that point. So you might get a shitty neighbor part on some shit sitcom, but you wouldn't get your own sitcom necessarily by that point. You said your life got marginally better. You could use it for better bookings, and you wouldn't have to middle anymore, that kind of thing. But it wasn't the same for everybody. Not everybody that made it on Carson became a huge success. But the story is better when you look at Drew Carey and Roseanne and stuff like that, and Ellen. These are all people that got to sit on the panel. They got to sit on, and they eventually did become huge stars. Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld had a show called The Seinfeld Chronicles that was about to go off the air. He used our show. This woman was nowhere when she did our show. Jon Stewart used to come on when The Daily Show started, and he'd be a regular guest. What happened to this guy? I haven't even fucking seen him in years. On our show, Adam Levine owes us, man. When he was coming in and doing the show, nobody was looking for him before The Voice. And David Letterman, I've done his show, I don't know how many times, probably 27 fucking times, and he's only been on our show twice.
Okay, let's break that down just for a little bit, guys, because this is important. Seinfeld stopped doing the show after pretty much, it is true, he stopped not when he got bigger, but because Howard started talking shit about him with the Shoshana Lonstein thing.
17.
Yeah. And then with Jon Stewart, I mean, that's all debatable. Well, some of it's not even debatable. It's proven. Like, Jon Stewart's got his on a run, and he never needed him. It's true. And David Letterman never does anybody's show. Never did anybody's show. He would rarely be interviewed. He was a recluse, worse than Wiggy. And that's just silliness. Anyway, let's continue.
They also too. This is just what show business is. You make your rounds for certain things. When you were the #1 radio DJ in America, more of these people came around. When you're on this platform that you have to bang down doors and throw pamphlets at people, maybe not.
And especially when you're choosing not to work weekends. If I were him and I'm still going to stay at Sirius or whatever, I would arrange to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then you get those certain guests coming through. No one's going to the beginning of the week into fucking New York for anything. No one cares. People do their rounds on the weekends. And then what do you care that your weekends are gone? Because the rest of your week is a fucking weekend. Your life is a weekend. I don't know.
Or just like we said, appointment radio is over. What?
Yeah. Just do it from home. Just do it, and do it piecemeal. Just put little pieces together and then just arrange them like we do, and just fucking make a show. Fuck. Anyway.
These guys are friends of the court, which means they're going to get an email. Hey, happy anniversary.
Clemenza, sorry, what was his name? Bonacera, what have you ever done? What have I ever done to make you treat me so disrespectfully? That's all I'm thinking now.
And then now all we have is anniversaries. We're celebrating nothing every day on the Stern Show.
Absolutely.
It's been 10 years. Today is the day you were on our show 10 years ago. We haven't seen.
Thank you, by the way, for whoever filmed this for doing this close-up.
Because it's that goddamn embarrassing.
Yeah.
We were there for you when you started. We were there for you the whole time.
What?
Seinfeld, we helped you with Seinfeld. Whitney, where were you? Whitney Cummings was just on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's losing his fucking goddamn mind. He's short-circuiting like a mother. Like zzz, zzz, zzz. He doesn't have any semblance to this. He gave this presentation. He thought about it once, and then he got up there, and now he's just hammering nothingness, just absolute nonsense.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Good Morning America, Today Show. She was on a million shows. She finally has something going on where we'd be interested in her, and she's not doing our show. She does it occasionally.
I found that incredibly insulting. She finally got something going on where we'd be interested in her. In other words, she became big enough to do our show, but she's not actually doing our show. So maybe we're not that big, but no one's drawing to this conclusion, right?
Yeah, somebody step up to the front of the class and let him know these people passed you by.
Has all the logic of when I tell you it's okay to do this, it's not okay to do this.
What do you want? Don't tell me.
Exactly.
Stewart is hotter than a pistol. Why is he not on our show anymore? Let's ask him. Let's invite him to the party.
That's got to be comfortable. Hey, why aren't you doing our show anymore? Why won't you do our show anymore? I don't know, because
this full court press that he's like trying to come up with in his measly head is so stupid. Just I'll give you a help, Howard. Call them. You've known these people for decades of time. I mean, just say, come down the show. We need you. You're a friend of the court. Whatever the fuck.
According to Richie Wilson, he got pissed off because he told him outright. He said, Howard, look, does that include you? Well, you got a Rolodex of famous people. Why don't you call Steve Martin and ask him to come to the show? And Howard was pissed at him. I'm like, well, why would you be pissed at Richie for being very honest about you and saying use your fucking connections? You're Hampton's buddies with whoever you go to.
You're Howard Stern.
Yeah. Call. Just ask them. And that's what people in the business do. Like, I wanted you to guest star on this show. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll do it. No, it doesn't work that way for him.
Bookie, like, on these tonight, on these sort of shows, there's regular bookings, and then if you really want a guest or you really want that interview, then you personally go after that. Everyone does that. Geraldo does that. Gail does that. They all do.
Yeah, and you don't. First of all, if you have a sort of a relationship with someone that you can call them directly, like Letterman, that's exactly what you do. You don't leave it to your fucking assistant. You do it yourself. You have their cell. You think he doesn't have Letterman's personal number after all these years, and vice versa?
It's so odd.
Anyway, yeah.
Friends of the court, we expect you to come in at least 2 times a year. Yeah.
We expect you to come in at least 2 times a year. We expect you. This is exactly like The Godfather when he goes, Johnny, your Godfather is really happy about your success, and maybe you can get some of your friends to come to the casino and convince them to perform 5 times a year. That's exactly what this is. That's him and Johnny Fontaine, Michael and Johnny Fontaine talking about, we did for you, you do for us. And that's there's no other analogy that works as perfectly as this, except the problem is he didn't do for most of these people. He didn't.
No.
Sorry. No.
It was by circumstance. It was by circumstance, chance, luck, timing. That's it.
Yeah. It would have been, and it wasn't. I'm trying to think, for example, what was the one thing Florentine did? I think it was Crank Yankers. Crank Yankers was with, he did it with Kimmel, didn't he? Like not with him, but they sort of gave it prominence. And then Howard started playing all this stuff. It wasn't like he was discovered on Howard. He got more of an audience through Howard, but it started like rolling down the hill with Kimmel and Corolla, as far as I know, with the Man Show.
Right.
So I mean, it's not that kind of situation. And years later, of course, Florentine would be the first person to say, look, with all those appearances, I got better and better. I got more, notoriety to the point where I can headline my own shows and stuff like that. That's wonderful. But put credit where credit's due. People who are in the business, like, for example, like a goddamn Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a talent. He was going to do something no matter what. But certain people like Whitney Houston, she would credit Clive Davis for making sure she had the right people. She had a voice, absolutely, but he gave her the direction and stuff, and he was responsible. That's a guy that can claim responsibility for someone's success, for the direction of it. David Foster, another great, I'm not a David Foster fan. My wife loves his horse shit, but he was responsible for songwriting for so many big names. And that's a guy who can be directly responsible for people's success. Wiggy, not so much. What's he responsible for? Fucking make your penis longer commercials and goddamn squatty potty, seeing some kind of bump in sales.
If anything, if we really thought about this, he's probably more the demise of people than he is of their success.
Fuck yeah. I mean, because it used to be the whole,
he didn't revel in people's success. He reveled in people's demise.
And he certainly resented people's success. Every time someone gets a Netflix deal, he was bitching about it. Like Chris Rock got $40 million for 2 specials. Adam Sandler making money like a Netflix special. Why aren't I getting those things? Well, what are you going to do with it?
Joe Rogan
on Spotify. Again, we're going to bring that up 1,000 times. I hope it curdles every fucking tendril on his head when it's on.
With Seinfeld got successful and you bashed him. So I don't see that. So I'm not sure what he thinks he's going to be leveraging out of these people, because he resented their success and now he wants them all back.
It's not only just that too. He thinks people don't have ears. Like Spade wouldn't do the show for years, right? Okay, now it's like he's an employee, he's like an indentured servant. But there was a time when he wrote a Time magazine article for him, or I think it was People, I think it might have been People, and he gave him shit on the air when he wasn't there, saying it wasn't fawning enough. And for years afterwards, Spade didn't do the show. He was pissed. Gary said it on the wrap-up show one time. He goes, look, why don't we get Spade in for a roast? And he's like, no way, he's not coming in. He's like, he's been to New York for many junkets now, and he's pissed Howard shit on him for that article. And then later on, when he comes in with Rock, he apologized for it. I actually was amazed that Howard said, I'm sorry, I was a dick about that. He was. But there are people that would not forgive. People would not forgive that, and they would not forget. So don't be too fucking surprised if someone gives you the cold shoulder, asshole. Sandler did for years before he finally came back. And when he did come and do an interview, I don't think he came back. He just came in, and he called him out on it. He said, you were pretty rough on us. And he was easy on him. I would have given him all kinds of shit.
Me too.
Yeah. So
because he used to fucking shit on Saturday Night Live, and now it's like old war stories when they come in. I fucking hate him.
It's awful.
Jon Stewart should visit us 2 times a year. I don't think that's too much to ask. I've done his show. We were once your marketing strategy.
Who's he saying this to? He's saying it to the screen. He's looking at it as if Jon Stewart is right behind that screen.
Really?
Like, Daniel-san, go beyond focus.
And now we need you to be part of ours. Payback.
We need you. Did you hear that? We need you to be part of ours.
Oh,
that's
God,
a very
so
powerful
pathetic.
word. Oh, yes.
Where is the list of people who did our show who we really helped? And why are we not calling on these people to help us in the future? We're talking about the success of the Howard Stern show. Your job, my job, and this isn't being addressed.
Go ahead.
Okay. Why aren't we doing this? Here, anyone raise your hand? All of you should have your hand up and be saying, because you told us never to bother these people, never to talk to these people, never to confront these people. Now, all of a sudden, we're supposed to have known. We should have been writing them letters and pamphlets this whole time and pitches. I'm confused. Like,
well, in a tradition,
like what? What?
when you go into like a PowerPoint, first of all, PowerPoint presentation should be succinct. This is meandering. This is all over the place. It's just like his fucking wig. And at the end of the day, it should be laser focus. There should be no debate. There should be no question as to what your objectives should be as outlined in the presentation, or sorry, as he says, presentation. And so you've got people whose jobs don't include PR shit, and you're going to make them PR people. I can't wait till we get into the fucking Mike Morales stuff. I know it's coming.
This should have been shortened to just a picture of the Titanic and that serious logo on it, and just going down and saying,
"We're fucked.
We're going down in flames.
Get your CVs ready, guys.
Pack your shit, because I'm getting on a lifeboat, and you all are getting locked underneath."
The only two things going down: the Howard TV crew and Ralph.
Yeah, this is the violinists at the end of the movie.
When the band played on.
Yeah, they all know they're going down.
And this, I can't. Oh yeah, it says PR team weekly strategy. Okay.
How do we get there? I'm going to put together a core team.
And when he says core team, to me, the minute he said core team, I'm thinking Sea Org. I'm thinking like Scientology or something. Core team. Now inherently, he's not wrong to want to organize things better and have people responsible, specific people responsible for Twitter, for, whatever. That's fine. But the way he explains it eventually is like every one of you is going to make a fucking Twitter account, a separate, like 3 Twitter accounts. Jamie7241. Hey, Lady Gaga, when's the last time you were on the Howard Stern show? I'd love to see you. Len2222. Oh, like Adam, I loved you on Howard's show. Please come back on. Love, XO. 0 followers.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 followers. And by the way, this PR strategy team, this should have come at the fucking beginning. This should have been, instead of being like, here's what I want. I want all of this stuff. Richard and Sal, you should be pitching. You should be doing this. Pamphlets, this. You should have started this whole thing out with, we're going to have teams. Here's the teams. This is what you guys are going to be responsible for. This is what you're going to be responsible for. This is how we're going to execute it. This is the new direction. Instead, it's
well over an hour of this. You got to figure it's 90 minutes of horse shit. Like this hour plus, if it was a Q&A, it must have been like, well, maybe it was a little less. Maybe it was 20 minutes of it, mostly just Bowie going, "Both is Marcy. Do I have to report to Marcy?" Yes, Gary, you do.
What is your experience in radio? None. 0
None
years.
whatsoever.
0.0. She's running the company now.
And by the way, serious staffers who are still there, you're no longer on radio. Remember that. When you went to Sirius, you stopped being on radio. Sorry if that escaped your little notice.
I'm not going to go into who's going to be on that core team now. I'm still assembling it, but this is going to be done. It's not like maybe we should do this. This is happening. It's happening by March 1st. There'll be a core team that gets put together that regularly strategizes.
This is so painful. He really should have like subtitles.
My vision come true.
Vision come true. This is my vision.
Okay? And I'm going to fly out there next week, and I'm going to straighten your ass out. And I'm going to make sure that you really get it. I'm going to make sure that you know what a rude, thoughtless little pig you really are. Do you understand? You're a rude, thoughtless pig. So be ready on Friday the 20th, because I'm coming out there. I'm going to tell you this, then I'm going to turn around, I'm going to fly right back home. You are a rude, thoughtless pig.
All right, I got to say something.